Welcome everyone to another episode of Promptly Speaking, where we bring you the stories of the movers and shakers of industry and their journey to success. I'm your host, Jack Madrid, and today we have a really special guest. The former DTI Secretary and a friend of mine, Mr. Mar Roxas. Let's welcome Mar to the show. Mar, it's great to have you on Promptly Speaking. Thank you for taking time out.
Happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
What I'd like to ask first is maybe a story about your career journey. Not a lot of people know, but that you went to Wharton. In fact, we were there together.
Yeah.
Can you share us a
Although
little
I
bit
have more
about?
white hair. I have more white hair than you.
Can you share with us your days in Wharton and how that led into your career journey?
I was there in the 70s, late 70s, and it was an exciting time. Really, the first time away from family and away from the country, experiencing new things, experiencing cooking for yourself, laundering your own stuff, washing your own dishes, etc. But it was a happy time. It was a time for discovery and the learning, of course. Never forget the learning. But I enjoyed my time there, and you might say I came unto myself there. I learned more about myself there because there's less influence of family, there's less influence of society and whatever your position is in society. So there you were just one of the boys or one of the people, no? And so I enjoyed that very much.
I vividly recall we were two of the very few Filipinos
Yes,
at that time. Now, from Wharton, I know you went into a banking career. So maybe
I
tell
worked
us.
for Allen and Company in New York. It was a boutique investment bank, venture capital. Also, I guess it's a precursor of a family office. The Allens have been on Wall Street for decades and had amassed a substantial fortune. And so it was a small firm that was managing a lot of money, and the principal characteristic of which was we were principals. We invested our own money, and even for example, I myself as a worker there invested my money in the sense of your pay would come out of whatever it is that you worked on. So it was really entrepreneurial. It was nobody had to tell you what hours you had to work or when or what you had to do because you had to make the investment work. And I enjoyed that. I come from my grandfather was an entrepreneur on the Araneta side. And so that was very much a part of my upbringing. And that was an environment that I thrived in. One of the stories that I recall was Discovery Channel. Was one of the investments that we worked on, and John Hendricks was his name. John Hendricks. He wrote a book. He even mentioned me in that book as one of the guys having worked on his deal. He was somebody with a vision of just accumulating all of these knowledge videos, right? And he had been divorced. He had hacked his home, mortgaged it to the hilt. It was living out of his car. I mean, it was really a rough journey. We the Allen Company, invested some money in it, and it stabilized and it grew and it caught an audience. And finally, John Malone of Telecommunications Inc. had bought it out, and the rest is history. So it was a fun time. It wasn't very regimented. It was really you eat what you catch, and I enjoyed that very much.
Did you always know, Mar, that you were going to be a banker from your high school days?
No, not really. But I think banking in this sense is not the commercial banking of lending money, but more really banking of intermediating as between capital sources and those with needs. No, and in that respect, realizing that everybody wanted something out of a transaction, trying to address everybody's needs, whether it be for security or it be for growth, or it be for control, and so on and so forth. I enjoyed that intermediation process. And at the end, it was like giving birth. There was a deal, there was a transaction. Money was actually being invested and put at risk. And there's no safety net here. There's no mortgage. Correct. There's no real estate at the end of this. It's really, you put your money where your mouth is. And it was quite a successful
Clearly
time.
an investment banking context, no?
Yeah.
I'm sure it sharpened your, now renowned negotiating skills.
Well, I don't know about that. But
So let's fast forward to, your appointment as DTI Secretary. May I ask, what was your vision, for the Department of Trade? And how do you describe, looking back, how was that experience?
In retrospect, I can say many things, but the truth is, at the time, it was really just treading water. It was really just keeping my nose above drowning, because the ASEAN financial crisis had just happened, 98, and its effects all globally was in 99. I was appointed 2000 by President Erap, and at the time, it was part of a revamp. No? Titoy Pardo came into finance. Paing Buenaventura came into the Banco Central, and myself. So it was like a bunch of technocrats coming into various, to the economic portfolios. And at the time, it was really, how do we create jobs? How do we preserve the economy from sinking further because of the ASEAN financial crisis? And this is how, I stumbled. Really, it's not no genius on my part. I stumbled really into the IT call center. At the time, call center pa lang, directory assistance. What's the telephone number? What's the address of a shop or a restaurant or whatever? So I stumbled into that and realized that we had advantages. English competency. We were attuned to the American culture. We had, at the time, maybe 2-3 million Filipinos already in the US. We were 12 hours ahead of New York and the Eastern Seaboard. So while they were asleep, we could be working, and when they came into office, our product would be at their desk. So there were a lot of advantages, no? And this was already being done because as a result of the recession, companies were offshoring their back offices. They were offshoring expense, so to speak,
that's right.
Looking for cheaper countries to operate in. And so we also had an advantage there. Obviously, our competitors were India, Dominican Republic, Honduras, Ireland. But our unique position enabled us to establish ourselves, and really testament to the Filipino worker. The companies that came here were the pioneers, and word spread like wildfire that Filipino workers were very trainable. They were dedicated. They worked hard, and we became an established site.
You're certainly credited, Mar, as the godfather
I don't know,
of
Lolo
the
maybe.
IT-BPM, BPO industry, and I think you served under quite a number of presidents. So my next question is, at that time, just rewind. What challenges did you anticipate for our industry back then? You described all the positives,
Right.
but what were the problems back then? I'm really curious.
Well, I remember when I became DTI, the local business establishment and even the media, financial media, were all focused on, let's revive the mining industry, the logging industry, the traditional industries, the manufacturing and so on, which were all good, and we spent a lot of time providing incentives and help to that industry. But I think what enabled IT-BPO to emerge and to evolve was because very few, including myself, really understood it. And the posture that I insisted on was, let the private sector take the lead. I think that's one key element in the success of IT-BPO. At the time when I was a congressman before becoming secretary, there was a guy, and I remember his name, Lee Vercelles. He was chairman of Science and Technology, and together we helped pass the E-commerce Act, which semi-protected data, which established some rules for e-commerce at the time. And then really it was allowing the private sector to take the lead. We created a ITEC, IT E-commerce Council. On the government side, I was the co-chair, and on the private sector side, JAZA and MVP were the co-chairs. So quite regularly, the private sector knew what government was thinking of doing, and vice versa. Government knew what private sector needed. And this was a constant exchange, constant sort of a percolation and creativity. And we were able to address last mile connectivity. We were able to speak to the owners of the schools to improve English, math, and sciences. We were able to, well, I as DTI at the time was able to change the incentive structure from what the original PESA was, which was to send industry and jobs outside of Metro Manila. It was originally decentralization.
Oh, right.
So you had to have 25 hectares to be able to set up an eco zone and so on and so forth. So we changed. I rewrote the rules within the law so that buildings could be eco zone. And not just whole buildings, but floors of buildings.
Right.
So you could have a domestic law firm occupying floor 3 to 5, but then an IT BPO that was incentivized floor 6, 7, 8, and so on and so forth. No? So it was a lot of sort of entrepreneurial work, to use the phrase, and we're just happy that we were able to carry it through.
Certainly, those are really important foundations for where the industry is now. As you know, Mar,
Yeah, well,
we are
amazing.
Celebrating IBPAP's 20th anniversary. A lot has happened. The industry has transformed. Let's fast forward now. You see where we are. 1.8 million employees, $38 billion in export revenue. Are these developments surprising to you? Now that we fast forward and you were there at the very beginning.
Well, I'm amazed. I'm impressed. I am in awe, but not surprised. In the sense that there was always this huge potential, and it was really just our ability as an industry and as a people and as a country to take advantage of those positive elements that we had. I'm very, very happy for the industry, for all the players. I brought along as a memento a copy of my remarks at that inaugural 2004 BPAP. So I was a speaker at the time at the start of the BPAP launch, really. I recall in those remarks, I said something about let the private sector take the lead, and what our advantages were, and to really it's up to us to determine how far we can go. And really, I'm as excited today for the industry as I was then. Yes, there are challenges. AI challenge. Many people say that it'll take over so many jobs and so on and so forth. But the needs of humanity and human nature will also escalate what has to be delivered. And there's nothing faster than the human computer, than the human being.
Absolutely.
And so I am encouraged and I am hopeful that we will continue to live up to that. Expectation.
I can't agree anymore. The human will always be at the center of AI tools, the customer. After all, the product that we deliver is customer experience, right? So let's switch gears, Mar. I'm sure our audience are curious. Where is Mar Roxas now? How have you been doing? What have you been up to?
I'm retired. I'm raising 2 5-year-olds, which keeps me
twins.
Yeah, twins. Keeps me busy. And I'm enjoying that. It's the best decision I've made all my life. I'm just doing some family stuff and basically staying on the sidelines, cheering you on, cheering the industry
Well,
on.
we appreciate your support.
I just want to say, Jack, that one of the things that I'm really inspired by, is that beyond the statistics, beyond the 1.8 million jobs, beyond the $38 billion, beyond all the companies, beyond all the square meterage and of the buildings and so on and so forth, there's that person that because of this industry is able to actualize their hope, their dream. They're getting a paycheck. It's a secure paycheck. They're able to make a down payment on a home. They're able to pay for the prescription drug of their parents. They're able to travel and expand and explore. They're able to dream, And really, for me, that is the true value of the industry. Beyond the GDP numbers, beyond the foreign exchange, etc. That's really because I believe it is transforming our society and our culture. The kids of that person, the brothers and sisters of that person will realize, oh my God, if I just study hard, learn my English, do well, I can have an alternate path. I can have this path where there's nobody standing ahead of me. I can have my own ladder, and it's up to me how fast I can climb that ladder, because really sky's the limit. It's up to the person's energy, the person's God-given talents, and that for me is really what I'm thankful for this industry, what it has brought to our country.
Well, thank you for saying that, Mar, because I also believe that our industry is often underappreciated, and even misunderstood. But we are an indispensable pillar of the economy, and more importantly, a pathway for a Filipino to reach the middle class.
That's right. Absolutely.
1.8 million, that's a million families at least.
Right.
And thanks in part to the pandemic, it's become a country-wide phenomenon. Before COVID, 25% outside Manila.
Right.
Today, 32%, on the way to 40%. It's the whole country.
I'll give you not a micro, but just a smaller, more manageable, more digestible morsel. My own province of Capiz, there's about 1,000 agents there, BPO agents there, earning 25, 30,000 a month. So 30,000 times 1,000 is 30 million a month. That 30 million is not just going to those 1,000 workers. That's going to the tricycle driver. That's going to the beer garden. That's going to every, to the clothing shop, to the taxis, to so on and so forth. So that's money that's really flowing through the economy, the real economy. And for me, when I see that, that's really the mark of success, because now it's not just CBD Makati or BGC or Pasig or what. Now it's Cagayan de Oro, it's Iloilo, it's Bohol, it's Cebu. Those are the big names. But all the other, even cities beyond Iloilo, there's now Capiz, right? Roa City. So that's like 2 hours away. So it's expanding beyond. And really that sort of like a trellis of incomes and jobs and livelihoods is what makes our country strong.
I couldn't agree more. Mar, if you don't mind,
Sure.
I want to go back to family a little bit.
Sure.
Because, you mentioned being a parent is one of the best decisions you made. So as a parent, what kind of values or lessons do you try to impart to your kids, especially considering, you're still a public figure, right? So how do you manage that? How do you balance that? And how do you hope that your kids perceive your legacy?
How they'll perceive it, it's who knows what it'll be. What I want to instill in them is a love for learning. So we're always like reading books and songs and painting and whatever, no? But it's always learn something new. I also want for them to learn about responsibility and duty. So like making your bed when you get up, and even just throwing your dirty clothes into the house. Small tasks and chores are very important, I believe, no, and not to take things for granted. So I think that if I imparted those values or are able to convey them to the kids, it'll keep them in good stead throughout their
Building
lives.
good character.
Yeah.
We will switch gears now,
Okay.
Mar. And I'm going to ask you some fast questions.
Sure.
And I don't want you to think too much about the
Okay.
answer. Just say the first thing that comes into your mind. Okay?
Sure.
Great. Who was your favorite professor in college?
I forget his name now. He was a Frenchman for international finance. I remember him because he would always have a can of apple juice to start the lecture. But I forget his name.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
What was the most rewarding part of your public service career?
I think, well, IT-BPO certainly ranks as one of them. Similarly, we initiated a program about having projects at the barangay level so that the barangays themselves would choose what it would have as a project from the funded by the national government, as opposed to somebody else telling them what they need.
Yes.
Right. So they themselves is saying that for themselves. There's a cheaper medicines law. I mean, there are several laws that I worked on that are now law that's now being. The first law that actually I was hesitant to stay in the public sector. I was a young congressman, and I didn't know whether I wanted to stay or not. President Ramos, I accredit this to him because although he was not in the legislature, he gave it space. This idea of equitable distribution of classrooms. As a congressman, I was not sure why do some places have more classrooms than others.
Oh.
And my sense of fairness said, let's make this fair, right? Pro rata according to student population. FVR liked it, signaled, I guess, to the Lakas coalition that he was in favor of it. It became law, Republic Act 7880.
Okay.
And now, DepEd, I hope they still do it, apportions whatever is the budget for the classrooms proportionately according to student population. So that way, it's not like palakasan,
Correct.
or whoever's president, his
Correct.
province gets more, and so on. So that triggered in me the notion that maybe you can do some good, maybe you can make a contribution, and that was in my congressship, and then I've stayed on.
Wow, thanks for sharing that. What's the first thing you do in the morning?
Try and go back to sleep.
Okay, here I have a golf question.
Okay.
If you could put together your dream flight of 3 other people to play with, who would it be?
Well, I don't know. I haven't played golf in a long time, but certainly it would be the pros. Jack Nicklaus, one of them. Rory McIlroy. I mean, one of my heroes. And I don't know. I'll keep the third one open.
Okay.
So for the foursome,
Fair
maybe
enough.
you.
Where
you.
would, oh, well, I would love to join that flight.
Yeah. But I'd like to hear. I really want to hear. Jack Nicklaus was like the star of golf when I was learning it.
Amazing.
And he's not. His swing, his technique, his everything is not quite in fashion today. But the values that he, I remember he wrote a book, and I took this away. It was a golf lesson, but I've applied it to life. He said, in a golf swing, there's a million things that have to go right, right? Which means that there's a million things that can go wrong, right? And that's life. You'd like to have a perfect life, to hit the perfect golf shot, but chances are things are not going to go your way. So, you're going to grip it tighter, you're going to swing your hips faster, whatever it is, something's going to go wrong. But the thing is to just keep swinging away.
Golf is life.
Yeah, golf is life. So I enjoy that lesson. And I
But what
remember
about
that.
Filipinos? What Filipinos would you want to play with? If we were to play tomorrow or this weekend, who would you want to play with?
I've not kept up. I've not kept up really, and
Okay.
I might miss out somebody. Magagalit mga kaibigan.
Who knows you best?
I would say my wife.
Okay.
My mother. I mean, they've been around the longest, I guess.
Good answer.
Yeah.
Favorite Pinoy ulam?
Setting aside adobo, because adobo is like a default, right? Maybe laswa, which is something we eat in Capiz and the Ilonggo speaking. I eat laswa. It's a clean, healthy sort of soup. On the other side, kare-kare also is quite delicious. So I remember when we were in school, you had to learn how to cook.
Yeah,
and so adobo was the go-to, and of course I remember the one lesson my grandmother taught me as I was going off to school is, she said, remember this. I said, yes, Lola. This meant this much water over the rice cooker. Yeah, no, diba, when you cook rice, you have to put this much water over the rice. So I remember, so that's how I had rice even while in school. I would buy hamburgers, take out the bread, take the patty, the meat, and then eat it with rice and Maggi. So,
wow, classic. Yeah. What's your go-to karaoke song?
I like Sweet Caroline.
Neil Diamond.
Yeah. I like To Love Somebody. I like Ventura Highway.
Wow.
Not that I can sing them well, no, but
we'll get you to sing one of those songs.
Yeah.
What is your preferred way to unwind after a long day?
Just to have a quiet moment, have some chamomile tea or something warm, just to quiet down. Not even go through a device, something, just to really sort of digest the day, and maybe 15-20 minutes of that.
Yeah.
Semi I can't say that it's meditation, but it has a meditative effect. Yeah.
Favorite city in the world?
Other than QC, Cubao, New York, maybe. I spent a lot of time there.
After Philadelphia, you went to New York.
Yeah.
And lastly, what does Mar Roxas want to be remembered for?
Somebody who contributed more than he took away. Somebody who was a helping hand, dependable, reliable, stable. Just when things are crazy, and he's the guy that you can call.
I think you've achieved that.
No, I don't know about that, but still trying.
So, Mar, let's wrap up.
Sure.
This really enjoyable conversation. It's been great to catch up with you. But I guess my final question is, if you were to give a message to the youth of the IT-BPM industry and the country, and anyone who might be considering IT-BPM as a career, what advice would you give?
Well, it's not just a career advice, but really just to the youth. If I was talking to my kids or nephews, I just say, don't give up on the country. There's a lot of stuff on Twitter or now X or whatever, YouTube, etc. that really just dumps on the country, and parang it's like nothing's going right, so on and so forth. Well, there's a lot of things going right. It's not perfect. I'm not saying it's perfect, but there's a lot of things going right, and as is often the case, it's in our hands. It's in your hands. And that example that I gave of IT-BPO, where you have your own ladder. There's nobody ahead of you on that ladder. In the traditional, conventional, old way, there was somebody ahead of you on that ladder. He had to retire or move on or something before you could move up. IT-BPO, and now in the new economy, you make your own ladder. And really, it's your energy, your God-given talents, and how you apply yourself, your commitment, dedication. So it's really in your hands. Our country, as in all other countries in the world, we go through tough times, but we're resilient, we're strong. We've got a lot of good resources, natural and human, in our own country. And don't give up on our country. Keep loving her. That's what I would say.
Well, thank you for those words of wisdom, Mar. And it's been a real pleasure having you on Promptly Speaking. Thank you again for taking valuable time.
Thank you.
It's been a
very
real
much,
pleasure.
Chair. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Mar Roxas, former DTI Secretary. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Promptly Speaking. I hope you enjoyed our session today, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.
That's information technology and business process management. We are coders and programmers, agile animators, illustrators, auditors, analysts, and consultants to managers, nurturing nurses and doctors, data developers and testers, VA smiling CXRs and artificial intelligence engineers. Oh wait, there's more. We are problem solvers and number crunchers. We speak in several languages, including Java, Python, Python, and so on. And on and on and on. We create heroes and villains. We gain experience and level up in life.
We are the IT-BPM industry, working with the Philippines. Join us.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow and subscribe to IBPAP on Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, and Instagram. Stay tuned for the next episode on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts.
IBPAP.